What's up, Michigan State fans? It's Jacob Katsuniki here, back for another edition of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. It is Friday, October 3rd. We are now on the eve of the Michigan State Spartans game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Tough road game up ahead, and we're going to break it down for you guys right here, right now. Again, big road test for Michigan State, Nebraska, two teams that have had parallel seasons pretty much to this point, but these are not two parallel teams. Both teams started 3-0. They went through their non-conference slate and got their first loss in their Big Ten opener against a ranked team. Michigan State won on the road and lost at then number 25 USC. They dropped out of the rankings after losing to Illinois last weekend, and Nebraska lost a home game to the Michigan Wolverines, 30-27 in that one. So we're going to kind of go through this game, kind of break it down, and then we'll give you a final score prediction at the end of this one. I can't lie to you, everyone. It kind of favors Nebraska a little bit. Like I said, these are two 3-1 teams, but the seasons have been pretty much the same for the most part. Week 1, both teams won. Week 2, both teams won. Week 3, both teams won. Week 4, bye week for both of these teams coming into this one. So Michigan State, even though they have the bye week, they don't even have the rest advantage in this one. Actually, technically the disadvantage because they had the 11 p.m. kick 2 Saturdays ago. Against USC, while Nebraska had the very normal 3:30 kick, I believe it was, against Michigan. So, to break it down, though, they've played, again, the non-conference schedule, though, for Nebraska, they played their premier game was better than what Michigan State did. They played Cincinnati, a team that is now 3-1. They've won the last 3 games since. It was a game in Kansas City. It was technically a neutral site, though. I did watch that one. It was probably 95. It felt like it was 95% Nebraska fans. It didn't feel a whole lot different than what it's going to feel like when Michigan State goes into Memorial Stadium. There was virtually no Cincinnati fans there. It didn't sound like it. It was, whenever the Bearcats had the ball, it was just pumping noise onto the field. But still. They handled business in that one against Cincinnati. It was a closer game, but still won the game. And the big takeaway from that one, when you're looking back on it, is they held Brendan Sorsby, a really good quarterback that Cincinnati has, to about 62, 63, passing just a ridiculously low number. And ever since then, he's been throwing for 300 a game or something. He's above 1,000, which again 4 or 5 games, which is a pretty good recovery at the college level. Picked them off a couple of times in that one as well. That was really the difference in the game is Nebraska's pass defense. That's something we'll touch on a bit as we break the game down even more. And then the other thing, Michigan State, their premier non-conference game, we'll touch on that. Boston College went to double overtime, a thrilling win, an exciting win at the time it happened, but it has not aged well. The Boston College has lost 2 games that are just not looking great. They lost a road game to Stanford, a team that lost to Hawaii, and then they lost a home game recently to Cal. I don't think Cal's bad, but they also lost 34-0 to San Diego State. Again, transitive property here in college sports, not great, but still. Excuse me, but Cincinnati's probably a better team than Boston College. Nebraska didn't need double overtime and for it to come down to basically 2-point conversions to go win that game as well. And the other kind of thing that kind of breaks your ear, again, we're kind of splitting hairs a little bit here, is when they played their weaker opponents, Nebraska did a lot better. Both of these teams have played MAC programs in the earlier portions of the year. Michigan State opened up against Western Michigan, 23-6. You're not going to, it's not disappointing necessarily, but it's not going to wow anyone. It's 17-point wins against Western Michigan. Okay, yip-de-doo. But Nebraska, they played Akron. Worst team? Worst team. I'm pretty sure Akron's dreadful, but still. Nebraska won 68-0. Full stop, there you go. That's all you need to know about that game. FCS team as well, each on the schedule. Again, Michigan State played, I believe, the tougher of those 2 FCS teams, but Michigan State won that one against Youngstown State 41-24. Never great to be in a 17-point game with Youngstown State, and they took a late score from MSU to make that 17 instead of 10. And then Nebraska, again, another ridiculous margin against Houston Christian. Again, you're not getting points from me for doing that, but still, they've taken care of business a bit more than what Michigan State did against their weaker teams. Now into this game. The big thing you need to know against Nebraska is they do not let teams air it out against them. Number one in the country by a good margin. In that statistic, they're allowing about 75 passing yards a game. 75 passing yards a game, that is just, against smoke, that's impressive. It doesn't matter who you're playing. 75 yards passing a game is insane. The most they allowed, I believe, was when they played Michigan. Bryce Underwood. If you watch Bryce Underwood, I think you can see he's pretty much living up to what it is. Right now he had about 105 yards passing on 22 attempts. I think he probably could have had more if he had better wide receivers, but still, it was mostly contained to that as far as his arm ability. And again, I brought up Brendan Sorsby. He's been phenomenal ever since he played Nebraska, and he couldn't do anything against them. So that's going to be the big thing to watch out for, is how much are they willing to air it out with Aiden Childs. Childs has been great. He's been one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten, if you ask me, but he's going to get up against a really, really good Nebraska secondary. Sierra Wright, they got a bunch of guys. Deshaun Singleton's a great safety on the back end, preventing those deep balls down the field. Just up and down. You look at, I've been going up the Pro Football Focus numbers again. It's not gospel, but it's a lot of good. Just like there's not too many weak links back there. Here's the engine for Michigan State though. Like this is what can really give them a chance offensively. Is Nebraska can't stop the run though. The back end's great. Back end's great for Nebraska. They cannot stop the run. Way down there statistically in that category, you can expect to see a healthy. You can probably see a healthy dose of Mekhi Frazier or Brandon Tullis. Tullis in this one. Excuse me. But again, Nebraska allowing more rushing yards than passing yards to this point. And again, that's gonna have to be something Michigan State does: establish the run early on in downs, try to get into those third and manageable, and that's when you can break out the play action, bring the safeties down, and try to set up the passing game a bit more. Yeah, looking at it right now, they're 108th in the country in rushing defense, 173 yards per game allowed in that category. They got run up and down. I wouldn't say up and down by Michigan, but they allowed some massive, massive runs in that game, and that's why they lost. I think Michigan had 3 touchdown runs of like 40-plus yards in that game, and 3-point loss. That'll do it. So that's going to be Michigan State. They need a home run. They need to see a home run from somebody, whether that be Mekhi Frazier breaking one loose, Again, they want Tullis to kind of be that bruiser for those third downs, those short yardage situations where the box is stacked. They want him more for that. But Elijah Tautoliver, he kind of broke one at the end against Youngstown State. Maybe it'll be him. So that's going to be the big key in that one. They need to use the run to set up the pass. If they cannot use the run to set up the pass, it might be a long game. For Michigan State's defense, this is also kind of the other big question mark. Can they stop Nebraska's offense? We'll see. Dylan Raiola is really playing well. People make the Patrick Mahomes jokes, but it's kind of for a reason. He changes the arm slot. He's creative. He's able to get to his second and third reads. Holds on to the ball a little bit too long. He's taken a fair amount of sacks, but people say the same thing about Aiden Childs. It's not an unfair criticism, but some good quarterbacks do that. They're willing to try to risk the sack to try to make the bigger play, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Again, you watch Raiola, you can see he has all the talent in the world. You see why he was a 5-star quarterback. You see why Georgia wanted him. You see why Ohio State wanted him as a high school recruit, but he went to Nebraska, which or Dominic Raiola, I can't remember if it's his uncle or if it's his dad, played for the Lions for a long time. You can see why he went to Nebraska. But again, to me, a tough game for Michigan State. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Nebraska's passing attack. They've got 2 really good wide receivers, Ja'Cory Barney, Dane Key. Barney was one of the top receivers for Nebraska last year, about 500, 600 yards, and then they added Key through the portal from Kentucky. He had 700-something yards at Kentucky last year. If you're doing that in the SEC, pretty darn good. So 2 guys they're really going to have to keep your eye on in that. Emmett Johnson's their best running back. He's been solid. The yards per carry doesn't pop out, but he's a big-time workhorse. No one in the Big Ten really gets the ball more than him, so you'll see a healthy dose of Emmett Johnson as well. Final score, can't lie to you. I think I've got the Huskers ultimately in this one if I really had to put something on it. Putting a score, though, it's going to be more high scoring. I do think Michigan State's offense is going to be able to put up some points up there on the board. Ultimately, I just think, though, you see Nebraska's a better team. Michigan State's better after the bye week, but so kind of is Nebraska. I've got ultimately Cornhuskers 34, Spartans 27. Close game, but it's just going to be a couple plays short for Michigan State. And ultimately, I think what will do them is it'll probably be those frustrating third downs where Nebraska is just able to find an open receiver, maybe on third medium, third and long. I think that might be the difference in the game. Nebraska can get out of those situations. I don't know if Michigan State can. Once again, though, they play the games for a reason. I could be wrong. Who knows? I mean, Michigan State can clip this and post it everywhere. Maybe I'll be an idiot. Who knows? But still, that's why I'm here to put the prediction out there. You can disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I'm willing to talk about it with anyone. Once again, though, I'm Jacob Katzanika, bringing you daily coverage of the Michigan State Spartans. Keep tuning in here and keep reading at SpartanNation.com. Once again, I'll see you guys around.